Okie dokie then. This is Strive Studio class, week 17, I think. It's been many weeks, and we missed a few weeks of proper forum class group review thing. This is by request for AlexNoah from their set at FGC Meetups just a few days ago. Looks like a set against an Axel. Let's make this
Yeah,
call.
Dylan. He's from Wisconsin.
See if we can make this a little bit clearer. Dealing with the cell phone footage.
Gotta zoom and
Um,
enhance.
Enhance. I don't know how to do that.
Zoom and enhance. You can do it.
That doesn't make the video bigger. That just makes the player bigger. Anyways, as always, I like to think of round starts when it comes to reviewing footage. Axel, very, very dominant at the round start, has a lot of really great round start options. Primary play around that I always think of from Axel is Far Slash. That beats like almost every round start option in the sun if you're trying to attack. And oftentimes will clash or with 6Ps. And Axel pretty much just wins round start pretty simply a lot of the time anyway, unless you're hard calling out an option. And that's not too big of a deal. A lot of the time, Axel zoning is annoying, but there are a lot of ways to sort of approach the brunt of the storm. So I'm always thinking of Far Slash, 2H, I guess reactive 6P, uh, Rainwater, and IAD back JS. Those are the first things that I think of when I think of Axel round starts. Even though AlexNoah here, our subject, is playing Ram, Ram having strong round starts herself, there isn't a lot that I think directly contests Axel round start without being a strict hard call out. And really, there isn't a super big reason to overextend in the first place, so honestly, just holding steady, maybe a neutral jump, just round start walk back, generally pretty comfortable options when I'm playing against Axel. I don't play Ram myself, but I play a character with analogous range. So let's see what
Definitely feel like
happens.
if you got movement options, dash blocking at the round start, at least for the first game, is probably like the right thing to do. That way you close in distance against the Axel,
Dash
and
will
you can
go under
start reacting
5p
to
as
what they
well.
want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, dash blocking also very good. Generally, just not pressing an attack button is my first thought
hmm
to complement that idea. Round start dash gets clipped by 2p, instant conversion into snail, and now we're just playing red light, green light. Um, I don't hate this approach. Being in the air is kind of troublesome against Axel. If you're calling out Rensen specifically, it can work out, but when it doesn't work out, you get pushed right back to full screen and you just took unnecessary chip or you just got hit. Being in this angle right here above Axel, that's like prime 2S range. You just happen to get a good guess here against the Rensen. Though you might be able to surmise that they were trying to do another Rensen with that whiff far slash, though I think that's the input for the bomb after Rensen. So they were trying to go for the speech bubble, the yes. Speech bubble there probably would have caught your dash. So you have to play a little
Wait,
careful.
where are you in the video? What timestamp?
I'm sharing my screen right now.
Oh, you are? I don't quite see it.
You go into Discord, you
Uh-huh.
go into the game chats under GGST you click my name
Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is.
and you watch the stream.
Okay, I see it.
All right, so we can just 5 seconds in, pretty much. There's that round start dash getting clipped by 2P. Rensen. I assume this whiffed far slash here was the follow up to Rensen, the Rensen cherry bomb. I do not play Axel and don't always know his inputs. They, I guess, were a little bit too late to get the speech bubble, which I believe in this case would have caught your dash forward, that the big explosion especially. But that's just a part of the guessing game. Normally, the patterns are like if you're super far away, they do the full cherry bomb for the big explosion, and if you're getting too close, they'll oftentimes do the quick explosion just to try and catch your dash. In this case, you try to jump and call out some sort of standing option. 5P, 6K would have probably caught your jump there. This goes right over Rensen. At this range, where you jumped initially, it's a little bit dangerous to jump. Because you're like, that's prime 5P range. 5P and 2H are like the most annoying things that you have to deal with. Because 5P you can get around by dashing under. 2H will catch your dash attempt, and 5P will also catch your early frames in the air of your jump. You end up getting out regardless, which works out well for you, it looks like, or reasonably well. This is, however, 2S range, so you have to be mindful of Axel's buttons, because if they're just playing a slow, methodical game, they're going to be able to 2S you and get big damage, like counter hit 2S into bomber loops or something. And this is the air flip that's minus, recognition by our opponent, and instant burst close enough to the corner. So that's pretty solid. Just trying to keep them glued to the corner with H sword toss in the approach. You jump here, I don't think you have to jump preemptively. So if I'm seeing this, I do, okay, just got bursted, I'm super far, or I just bursted, I'm super far, I'm going to dash in closer. I do not believe for 1 second that this is a reactive jump. I think if you just approach to this sort of your far slash range, you can try and get around what Axel's trying to do, or you can just do like slight dash forward S sword toss. But that's a little bit dangerous because it removes both of your swords simultaneously, and you don't have any meter to sort of back yourself up. In this case, if you were mindful and watching and trying to react, air throw would be a fantastic option in response to this air dash out, because by the time you can react to the air throw, they likely won't be able to get a button out to punish you. And all of that, just generally good sequencing to keep the corner. Unfortunate drop. If you're trying to air like that, maybe 5P or jump punch would be a good way to sort of be stable, because you can just keep pressing that button and they'll stay in front of you. I think this was just a weird hit with the jump kick. JP would have been a little bit faster, probably like 1 or 2 frames faster. Actually, might not have been much of a difference. I'm not sure though. I like the idea though, the JK into your, what is that, jumping 214S. That would get the knockdown and allow you to reestablish your offense. But this drops, you get some sort of knockdown, and let's see what happens. This dash jump feels unnecessary to me. You're like putting yourself in a range where Axel can hit you and you can't hit Axel. Like just backing up. We dash, we're right here. This is the range where you can still press buttons and like hit Axel. So we got the knockdown, they tumble, they get up. Let's say they're active about right here, you're already moving and trying to hit them. Something like far slash heavy slash would, I think this is about the range. Like you do it within a few frames of this sort of spacing. You get some of that dashing momentum to pull you forward a little bit further. But when you jump here, you can see here that your opponent is just not doing anything. They didn't want to press a button because they could potentially get hit on the ground. But now that you're in the air, this is where Axel sort of wants you. If they were jumping, they would hit you with a jump P. They're on the ground right now. They hit you with jump S. Or not jump S, 2S, excuse me. You jump away, perhaps recognizing that it's 2S. But now you're full screen again, and you've completely lost any sort of initiative that you gained from that air counter hit situation. And now it's all Axel. He has burst. You're about even on tension. Caught in the landing frames. You get hit by a mix-up. Delayed cherry bomb for the meaty. Now we're playing red light, green light. I like the dash blocking though. You're sticking to the ground. As your life gets lower, just general rule of thumb, I prefer to try and faultless defense the cherry bomb follow-up, because that will do a lot of chip damage, especially if it's the delayed version. Rensen itself does a decent amount of chip damage, but you're getting low on life here, and you have the tension to spend. Just something to be mindful of. You can, of course, make a conscious decision because you are close to getting 50%. Right here, just red light, green light. They're playing a very grounded Axel. That was a good far slash. So let's try and think the thought process here. You just saw a whiffed 6K. You hit 2K here.
I wasn't expecting him to just whiff. I was just expecting him to actually keep me checked with a ground normal. But at the end of the day, I still have to guess in that scenario. Are they going to do that, or are they going to keep me on the ground checked?
So when you're close to your opponent, it's generally a better guessing game for you than for Axel. Something that Monty always talks about is how a lot of pretty much all of Axel's block strings are unsafe at one point or another. If you do any sort of normal, it's always unsafe, even if they cancel into snail. The mix-up is, do they cancel into snail or not? And if they do cancel into snail and you get counter hit, big whoop. You get sent full screen and you have to start again. It's not that big of a deal. They don't cancel into snail, you can big punish them. If you block the snail's like minus a lot. I don't know. Something crazy. I'm going to look it up. Let's go to Dust Loop for a second.
Minus 24.
Minus 24? That's insane.
Yep.
Snail. Minus 24? That's ridiculous. Man, Axel sucks, dude.
You can have a picnic and then run up and pop them.
Whenever I block snail, I do like micro dash, bridge at 5H. I have all the time in the world, and I still have an 11 frame heavy slash. It's crazy. But the mix-up is snail versus not snail. Of course, they have 50% tension, so maybe it's like, oh, they RC their snail, or they RC into another thing. I think let's go back a few frames. Several frames, more than just a few. You know what? Let's just scroll back 5 seconds, because that's. So you dash up. You dash up here. They whiff 6K. This is when you get to take initiative. If you were expecting a button to check you, then I imagine you would just be blocking here. Because they can cancel into Rensen again, they can cancel into Snail, they can cancel that with 50% tension here. This isn't necessarily to condemn you for that 2K, just general thought. This isn't really a range where 2K is going to hit and where 2K gets any sort of meaningful confirmation in the first place. 2K here, I only would expect to sort of call out early frames of Axel's own 2K or 2D. And those are already... Axel 2K is a god button anyway, so maybe. If you can dash block and recognize that Axel just made a wrong guess, you can take initiative. That doesn't have to mean you get to press a button. You can't press a button. Pressing buttons is generally a good thing, especially when you have such good buttons like Ram, Far Slash, and Heavy Slash. when you have initiative, that just means you get to sort of take control. And control can manifest in many different ways. It can manifest as just being close to your opponent in your ideal range. Ram has a closer ideal range than Axel does. It can mean just running up and reassessing the situation, sort of reestablishing a presence of mind. In this case, you happen to do 2K, which is fine. Looks like an autopilot response 2K into far slash, but you can already tell that Axel's sort of being very defensive here, so not too bad. I think it seems like generally a good idea. You do however, happen to have close to 50% tension. You might want to do something with that. You might not. General ideas, I don't know how you feel about any of them, but if you were betting on that far slash to connect, whether on hit or block, you can cancel it into Dostrow for a potential hit confirmation, or the Dostrow can turn into an RC on whiff or hit confirmation into RC, but it would generally give you a better position than right here. It looks like you were just trying to catch Axel waking up. Axel decided, I'm going to air dash back far slash, which is one of his primary tools to control neutral. Low committal controls the space sort of right below him, and with the startup of the air dash back, they sort of have an attempt to figure out whether they want to do JS, JH, or JP. Or JK. I don't know why they would want to. Normally an air-to-air, though, when you're super close. My thoughts, generally. They didn't kill you, which is lucky for you. Try to hit close slash. You get a knockdown here. You run up and just do nothing. What are you expecting here?
I was expecting him to super because he's got the meter.
I don't know. I feel like you have the knockdown. You want to take it as far as possible.
Yeah,
and
but
there
I
are
get hit
definitely better ways to bait out super than jumping here. Especially Axel super, because Axel super has a weird punish window where if you block the first hit, you have to jump the second hit. But if you block the first hit in the air, you don't really have time to jump for the second hit because it's dragging you down. Something like just running up, oh, I accidentally turned on closed captions. Running up and being just outside of your opponent's throw range, taking a small chance to reassess, and then hitting a button, that's something I feel more confident about if I am trying to bait specifically a reversal option like super. Burst. If they burst here, I am 100% okay with it. I'm not baiting burst. I'd be baiting super if at all.
Like if you're trying to bait super this early, I mean, I just make them do it. If they're gonna super off of a random knockdown, then you use that for information in the next games because it's what, first round?
This is the very first round.
Yeah, you have a lot of time.
Even still, I think there are definitely better ways to bait super than just jumping forward.
Well, I agree with that, yeah.
Personally, I agree with Alpaca that you're so low on life and they still have about 65-70% health that it's like I need to make a play and I need to make it now. If they happen to guess right in a 50-50, good for them. We'll go to the next round and we'll restart. You can't be afraid of an option if you can't over-represent how scared you are of an option. And at a point like this, the option I feel isn't so scary. Because you're so close to dying that if they happen to get you off of them once, then you'll probably lose the round anyway. Anyways, empty jump throw, they're in the corner. Dash up 6p. And You're scared on your Rekka?
Well, yeah, because I don't have meter to cancel, and I used the sword.
Rekka is scary enough on its own, I think. Getting counter hit by Rekka 2 a lot of the time will pretty much kill someone. Like uncharged Rekka 2, counter hit, charge Rekka 3, and you get a big combo after that, right? Um, this is the first time. Well, that's good for you with the burst. This is the first time you're sort of presenting this option, and you're already showing your opponent that, hey, I'm scared if I don't have anything on backup, if I don't have any sort of comfort. And in fighting games, you need, especially against a character like Axel, you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, as circuitous as that may sound. You need to take risks sometimes, because sometimes that's what it takes. Anti-air 6P, they burst out, that's a win for you. YRC, that's another win for you. They're trying to chip you out. And it looked like you let go of FD at the wrong time. Unfortunate. Let's just briefly try and remember the previous round start so we can further the RPS. Axel did 2P, you did dash block, or dash something. I don't know if what the intention was behind that, but Axel caught your dash with a 2P. Hard call out on Snail, and it turns into nothing. If you're specifically trying to hard call out Snail, I think you can do better than jump kick.
Yeah, I tried to cancel into the swords, but I guess I didn't get the input.
Even still, I bet you can get JS into like a 5k 6H follow-up on the ground. You probably can get 5k follow-up off of this, or like JKJD. What else? Air throw. Air throw would be really good. If your idea is to just air dash forward and reassess afterwards, air throw would be phenomenal here. Gets the knockdown and sort of establishes your pressure. But JK, I think for certain you could have gotten a 5k follow-up after this one, and you start your pressure. They guess right once, and you sort of back off. JH is sort of hard to contest. It has a very good hitbox, and if you're trying to 6P it, it'll often be low enough so that it gets around your upper body invulnerability. So they get some sort of pressure off for counter hit JH. They do far slash. You jump away from the far slash. Happens to work out. And you decide, hey, let's jump again. This is another sort of situation of putting yourself at Axel's advantage. Axel 2S is super good there. Happens to get around it. But you don't have a lot of strength at this position. Sure, you have JH, which is a god button, but Axel 2S is going to just kill you if you JH.
Yeah, well, I remember it was someone in 9 Moons telling me that I have to be comfortable with like jumping just in front of Axel's anti-air ranges in order to get him to bait a button from that range.
I don't think that's always that doesn't always feel like a very strong idea to me personally. Cuz you're in the air, they do 2S, 2S misses, you're still in the air, and you just have to fall down and sort of do what? You can fall down with JS, JH, you can do nothing. In this case, you do the little flippity doodah, and Axel tries to do 5P to catch you falling down. But after that whiff 2S, especially if your opponent as Axel can recognize that you're jumping backwards, they don't really have to do much. They don't have to commit anything. They could even just dash forward and block, trying to escape the corner, which would in this case get under your flip. Generally, I find that being in the air against Axel is not very strong. I'm not necessarily so sure how it is with Ram. Ram has her flip, as we see, getting around some options, but I feel like that's an uncomfortable position to be against Axel. No reaction to the counter hit there. Oh, and you can, even with 50% tension too, just back up a little bit. Yeah, it looked like you were just frozen for a little bit. Maybe you were trying to buffer Kara sword and it just the counter hit messed it up. I don't know. You luckily get to keep your pressure because you got good buttons and counter hits are good for you. Throw bait gets thrown on landing. They guessed right. Another instance of snail being snail. It's when the whiffing snail on the ground means you get to walk up and hit them.
I thought you said it was mostly on block that I get to punish them, but they seem to be at a far enough distance. Even if I were to dash up into like bar slash, I probably wouldn't be able to reach them in time.
Wait, what?
It's
What?
let's see. I'm looking at Dust Loop right now. Let's try and find where's the snail go? I'm accidentally looking at Rensen. There it is.
Sickle flash.
Snail is 14 frames of startup, then active for 12 frames, then recovery for 29 frames. That's almost a full second move. And let's say, for instance, you can react to the startup and active frames being 26 total frames. After 26 frames, you get to move. Let's just say hypothetically, 26 frames have elapsed. You get to move, and they still have half a second to recover before they can press something. That's at the very least, you can force them to block something. Maybe you have 50% tension here. You could enforce Dostrow. Dostrow moves forward really quickly. I don't know. Or like dash BRC forward. There are definitely a lot of things that you can do here that can create offense for you. Because Snail is not a very good move. And you just stuck there. And here's an instance. You jump in the air. Let's see. Let's look at this again. You jump, and then you jump right back. And then we're back to the same situation that just happened. We're on the ground at the same distance. Nothing has happened. We haven't really progressed the game state other than, I guess, gaining a bit of extra tension. This is something that I always get a little frustrated about from RAM players. I'm sick of playing neutral. You know what I want to do? I've got 50% tension. Let's do some.
Windshield wipers.
Let's do 214H. I think that's the input. The windshield wipers.
Wash some windows. Yep.
Like, you're so close to him too. If I'm sick of neutral and I'm this close to someone, maybe like, I don't know, /RC rather than windshield wipers RC. I don't know how good this is against Axel. I can't imagine it's very strong because Axel can catch your startup of it a lot of the time. Yeah, that's a hard hard combo to burst if they were going for Axel Bomber. Just general, what I'm thinking of when I see close slash from Axel and I'm getting hit in the air and I have burst, I am either dead or I'm scared that my burst is gonna whiff because they do Axel Bomber and they like fly all the way across the screen or something crazy and I just completely whiff a burst. Or it's like Axel Bomber RC or something crazy. Anyways, just what I was thinking of when I saw that. Turned out to be a good burst. Yeah, I'd say that's all things considered a good burst. When I see a close slash, I'm like, oh boy, my opponent's going to try and bait my burst. So I'm going to wait one more attack until I burst. If this is what you were intending, recognizing the 5H coming out, bursting, that was good. That's a good thing. I like that. Because we don't want to die. There's the windshield wipers. Let's enforce pressure. I still don't feel so bad about it because like you use 50% tension and where are we now? It's +1. Axel 2K is his 5-frame button. How fast is Ram 2K? I have to guess it's like 6 frames.
I think it's 6.
So if you had 2K'd there, I think that would have traded because I believe the flip is +1. I could be completely wrong though. I don't know. I just know that I hit 2K as Bridget and my 2K is 5 frames and it trades sometimes. This is good dash blocking.
Ram 2K is 6 frame startup.
Yeah. So you're doing some good dash blocking here. And then you jump away from them. And what jumping away in this case does, you lose your space, and landing allows Axel to continue his game plan with little to no interference. And you just return. You're pushing them to the corner slowly. You do it again, even though you have sword on backup here. Like you do sword, you jump, and then you just jump away. It seems like you're probably focusing too much on that one idea of Axel. You're trying to bait out Axel's anti-air. It seems like that's the only thing you're really thinking of. Because doing that lets him get out for free with that air dash. Snail to finish it up. Because here you are. They tried to jump. They blocked. You have all of this space here. You have all of this space and just ideas. They just block H Saberbato. They block the explosion. You can maybe do like 5K to cover them trying to dash forward too much while still having time to respond to an air dash. You can do 5S to call out a forward approach and use the explosion as to cover more of an approach in, like the startup of the flip. These are just my initial thoughts. I'm no RAM player, so I don't know. But this is like stuff that I think DZ has caught me with a lot. You try to anti-air. If you can recognize how much time you have to anti-air, maybe try 5P. Ram 5P is an egregious button. It's so good. It's like the opposite of the Power Glove. It's so good. First game happens. Classic AlexNoah taking out his notepad, notebook, I assume. Gotta get the notes in. Round start. What were the last things? Well, the last things were 2P caught the dash. Rainwater got caught by your call out. That's 2P. Is 2P a low?
I think so.
If it's not a low, I'm gonna go insane. I'm scrolling up.
I don't think it is.
Oh, it's a low.
It is a low, huh?
Dustloop says it's a low. At least 2P can be low profiled by the dumb buttons like Mirage, Happy Chaos Roll,
His
Stroke,
own 2K.
Stroke the Big Tree, his own 2K. Axel 2K is probably it's one of his best. It's got to be his best button.
It is his best move. That move's stupid.
It's an anti-air too.
Yes, it is.
Anyways, for future reference, you got hit low. I don't feel like Axel 2P is a very good button at round start, just as like a call out generally, because you have to like it enforces the mix up of do I do snail or not, especially at round start when you have 0 tension. And then opponents can just jump over it. And let's see. It's startup 10 frames, active 4 frames, recovery of 21 frames. That's 35 whole frames that your opponent can be right above you. Happens to work out 2 times. Have to take it, I guess, but for future ideas, when we're covering, I guess, far slash and 2P, I like to do, especially as Bridget, and I'm sure you have something similar with Ram. Round start, slight walk back, then press a button. In this case, you can do round start, slight walk back, block low, then press a button, if that's what you're going for. In that case, it would get around far slash, probably block your 2P. Though it is 10 frame startup, maybe just round start blocking. I don't know. It's the idea of you sort of have to concede round start against Axel a lot of time because they have a lot of really low committal options that will cover a wide array of things that you can do. It's like when we're starting from a 0 frame advantage situation, at this range, Axel seems heavily favored. Anyways, we just got hit by Snail. We're setting up Rensen, playing some red light, green light. Early burst, you have pressure. Nice Kara setting this up. I'm not sure how Calvados interacts here, if it's more or less damage, because Mortabato does a lot of damage. But if it does happen to do more damage, which someone should go into training mode for, he has burst already, so the extra hits don't matter. Just my thought. I see people doing Mortabato at that a lot of the time, and I wonder to myself, is it really better to do Mortabato over Calvados? I'm not sure. Genuine question.
Well, sometimes if you're close to the wall at some ranges, like Calvanos will just straight up miss. Like even if you're like point blank super close to him, like all the way, it just straight up won't hit them because the hitbox doesn't extend that far back, unfortunately.
Okay.
I've had that happen too many times.
Then yeah, going for the consistent thing is always good. Ram shits out damage, so getting another hit will probably just kill Axel anyway.
Yeah.
We just got the knockdown. We have 50% tension here, a full burst. Ram has easy baby safe jumps. Baby safe jump. Ooh. Good use of FD, try to get out. You sort of lose real estate by doing this jump here. I see a lot of Ram players do like rising JP to try and catch the opponent attempting to leave the corner into like falling other button. That seems like generally a good idea. You do a double jump backwards. It seems like you're scared of an anti-air. But I don't think you have to be so scared of the anti-air because the sword just went off. You fall down with JK, counter hit, RC. Especially when you have positive meter bonus, getting used to fast RC in a situation like this is going to be a good situation because you enforce essentially the same thing off of a fast RC versus a red RC. You can do like fast RC close slash, and close slash for Ram is really good. I believe plus on block. And then you sort of enforce the same strike throw sort of situation that you would from a regular RC. The regular RC, of course, easier to do. Not going to knock it, but I would like to see some fast RCs, because then you can enforce crazy block strings that last forever, crank the risk, deplete your opponent's tension, and get them very scared. They YRC trying to get out. Good use of your spacing, gets around their far slash. You take the round. It's a Ram round if I've ever seen one. Trying to evolve the round start. Far slash gets clipped by Rainwater here. I guess homework for later. If you're practicing round starts, what does far slash beat? Because I'm not sure what far slash Ram far slash would beat against Axel. Far slash, I assume, would lose to Axel far slash, because Axel far slash is a god button. Loses to Snail for sure here. Probably loses to IAD back JS. I assume Axel backdash would get around it as well. Not sure though. That would be close based on range and the invulnerability on backdash. But homework for later. They get to set up, mix up, same side overhead. That mix up's really annoying. It's really simple but really effective. Well, that was a good jump there. Let's see. Yep, they whiff 6k, so now it's time to assert Ram lethal pressure. Do you get more off this JS at this range? Probably not. That's too far.
Yeah. Well, if I hit it low enough, then yeah, I could continue it like any regular combo.
It seemed, I'm not sure what the how the range worked out there. You might have been able to get like far slash to at least connect, whether it was on hit or block. Who knows? Even still, just dashing up afterwards, I don't think is a bad idea. I think it's about on par with enforcing some sort of Daro mix-up after Daro hitting. Like you do a combo, Daro hits standing, and then you're just in their face and you get to do close slash or something like that. I don't know, this is like the same idea. You do dash up 2k 2d, it works out quite well. Sword toss, 6p trying to catch their button. Why 6p here?
Just to keep them in check. It's just another extension to my pressure. Oh, and it also catches them far, and I could still cancel into like Rekka. It'll catch like any like back jump or attempts and whatnot.
So I know 6p has more range than 2k here. You already have the explosion sort of covering you. So I feel like you can do more than just 6p. 6p has no Gatling options. It's a finisher. I'm thinking 2s probably hits at this range because Ram 2s is such a juiced button. You can accomplish the same thing with 2s while also catching them sort of trying to up back a little bit too hard because they would have to block that low. You do Rekka. You do Rekka 1 into nothing. That's like the second time that's you've presented Rekka 1 into nothing. You have 50% tension. I guess they do too, but I don't know. I feel like you can do more. You lose your turn, but they lose their turn, and you didn't punish them for it. I guess they have 50% tension. Yeah, they could RC that one forever. I guess never mind. Even still, knowing a punish against Snail is going to be very good. And this close to the corner, if you were to block a Snail and you knew it was going to get a punish, I'm guessing heavy slash Daro RC. I'm guessing heavy slash... I guess you don't have your heavy slash because you lost your button, but far slash Daro RC, if you had your heavy slash Saberbato into literally anything, because those combos are super easy and do so much damage. there's that mix-up between do I do snail or do I not do snail after 2K2D. One thing to recognize, the ranges at which Axel Rensen follow-ups are effective. Right here, you wouldn't be hit by anything if you did a little dash forward. You might be in range of the explosion. I don't think so for the regular one. You would be in range of the big explosion, but if you dash block, you wouldn't be in range of that. The pinwheel is right in front of Axel, and you're not right in front of Axel, so it's not a big deal. And the rainbow, the up follow-up, wouldn't hit you. So just something to get used to when you're playing the Axel matchup. They do empty Rensen. Yeah, this is like you're a little scared of the follow-ups here. And just simply dash blocking there would be out of range of anything, and you could potentially try to start offense depending on how fast you recognize that there was no follow-up. Because I'm not sure how that would necessarily interact with the pinwheel. That might be a little bit too close. Who knows? You let them leave the corner. Let's just take a quick look at that. Rensen, empty Rensen. They dash forward and do nothing. Try to air dash out. And they're back at neutral. All rainbow follow-up. Use it or lose it. Oh, recency bias. Yeah, and that's that situation earlier, even though they had 100% tension, where I was talking about if you're baiting out super, I don't think jumping is the way to do it. You were just sort of in...
I should have just held the super and blocked RC into pressure.
So the way you punish Axel super, and I'm not sure the Ram specifics. Ram probably has a specific punish for it. You block the first hit of Axel super, and you jump the second hit, and hit a button on the way down to catch them. Because if you land without pressing a button, they've recovered. So you could probably do like landing JH, JD, or something into 5K. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure. But in this situation, they just spent 100 tension for not a whole lot. They would have had to RC the first hit, which would have gotten them guaranteed pressure. I don't know. You might have been able to punish Axel super here. You were already committed to jumping backwards. Yeah. I'm not sure. If they had done super and you hadn't already input jump back, you might have been able to just jump after the flash and not get hit. But I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Even still, I don't think jump is the right bait here. They do snail. Snail is plus, like, I don't know, a lot. I assume that was catching jump startup. Dashing goes under 5p. And you get hit low. That's... Trying to get under 5p with a dash gets caught by trying to... getting hit by 2h. Round start air dash. You just do round start block. That's generally good. If you're like super in the zone, I would have loved to see an air throw here. That would have been so sick. Throwing is so good. Early burst puts them in the corner. No big issues with it. You sort of lost your pressure, unfortunately. That might have just been a true block string. You haven't really enforced the Rekka 1, Rekka 2 mix-up much. You've done Rekka 1 into nothing, Rekka 1, Rekka 2 into nothing, or Kara cancels. I feel like if you can vary it up and make them have to guess a little bit more, that can give you extra percentage points towards victory when you have offense. They take the corner. And that's just basic 50-50 cross up low or same side overhead. Got over. I just want to take a look at what happened there. Already jumping back, they did a 2H. That either caught them in the air or caught them doing 2S, and I'm not sure which one. I think caught them in the air. If you're trying to frame trap there, consider using 6H. 2K6H. I feel like that's really good for RAM. There is a gap between it. If they press a button, they just die. And it can provide a good amount of block stun to true block string into sword toss. You can do
5K into 6P?
5K 6H.
Oh.
Forward heavy slash.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I see a lot of Rams doing close slash 6H or 5K 2K or 2K 6H. It feels like a really good option. It's just you guessing wrong here. And also surviving. Axel had... Did they have 50% tension? Yeah, you barely survived that. They had 50% tension. They could have killed you. Mix up. Definitely can kill you here. Just guessing wrong. Back to character select. I'm going to guess color switch. No, not color switch. Never mind. Let's see the round starts. The round starts we've seen Axel air dashing, Ram air dashing, lots of 2P, Ram far slash, Ram holding still. Let's just see what happens. Slight walk back into IID forward. Solid option. You take the time to recognize what your opponent is doing, if at all. I don't know if that's necessarily a reaction, but you committed to something, and it worked out. That gets around far slash, and it punishes Snail there. So I think that was a well-informed decision. Would have lost to 2P, because as we learned several minutes ago, 2P is a low. I guess getting a little greedy there. Yeah, trying to 6P that is very difficult, because Axel JH hits low enough. As I mentioned this earlier, Axel JH, this is like the second or third time this happened. It hits low enough that if you try to 6P, you will get counter hit because it will get around the upper body invulnerability and hit your toes. Axels love to jump back in the corner, by the way, because of JH. And you haven't really represented JP off of sword toss, which I think is a very strong option to contest on the way down. Sort of the way around the JP, you do like rising JP forward. If they were trying to get around it, they would dash block, and then they could readjust. You could both readjust from there. I don't know, sort of the super heavy mix-ups from that, but as a Bridget player, I would hit 2H because that button's great. The dash block.
Don't have 2H.
Alpaca got to learn firsthand. Yeah, dash blocking, of course, losing to low options, usually, or true block strings. First time they used Winter Mantis. Just got to keep an eye out for that. Empty Rensen. That's the first time they called you out with the 6P and it worked. Yeah, this is what I was sort of thinking about earlier as to why you lose initiative when you jump against Axel.
Yeah, but my issue is they're going to keep me grounded anyways with their far buttons. So it's like,
you know who has a really great ground game? Ram Lethal Valentine.
Yeah, but not at that range. My buttons are just gonna whiff, and he's gonna punish me.
So you have to
and I die.
You have to dash block and get close. You can't think about the worst scenario, because the worst case scenario is going to get you feeling down on yourself, and you have to think that you are, without a doubt, the best player in the whole wild world. You dash block to get close, If they're running away, then you push them to the corner, and that's great. If you dash block to get close, suddenly you're close. You get to press a button after they press the wrong button. That's great. You dash block to get close. They make you block something up close, and you get put in the mix-up of rainwater, snail, or nothing, and that's pretty great. Because you can, if they do a snail, you can kill them. If they don't do snail, it's a 50-50. You either return to dash blocking or you kill them. If they do rainwater, it resets.
I know, but more often than not, they always check me first. I never get to check them first. That's my issue. My options just aren't fast enough. No, none of my buttons are fast enough.
You're fighting Axel.
You know what I was just talking about? How if you block something, then that's great. You don't have to get so close that you have to hit them. You get to a point where Axel wants to get away. And Axel can get away in many different ways, but you have to sort of get into that scenario where you can be a threat. Because if in the air, you're not a threat. Axels are never scared of anyone in the air. They've got some of the best anti-airs in the game. They've got 6P, 6K, or 6P being universal, so 6P is kind of medium. They've got 5P, 6K, 2S, they've got JP, JD, JK, all really great air options to prevent someone from doing anything in the air. If you're jumping, you are not a threat, you are losing space. If you are on the ground and you are close to Axel, whether or not he is hitting you, whether or not he is throwing out a button, you are a threat. If you are blocking one of his moves, that's scary for Axel. I remember Monty saying that he doesn't even use supers he doesn't even use his meter for damage most of the time. He only uses it if it's going to kill or if it's to keep him safe. Because Axel, when in a block string, is incredibly unsafe.
It's a game of inches, especially against Axel.
You have to play to your outs. You have to play your percentage points. You have to give yourself the best advantage of winning, and you don't have a good out to win if you're in the air. There are very few characters that can even comfortably be in the air against Axel. Happy Chaos, pretty good in the air against Axel because if you're full screen and they're cursed up, they can't do shit about it. Let's see. Bridget's sort of 50-50 in the air. If I'm full screen in the air, I can throw a yo-yo and sometimes interrupt them. Otherwise, I can just use random options to get around all their shit. Ram's not a threat in the air. He blocked your flip, you get punished, and you get sent right back to square one. And there's that 6P JH interaction again. After that bit of a rant, just generally curious how 5P might interact with JH. Homework for later. Round starts. Round start, nothing. So your dash blocking, great. That worked out. Dash block. JK happens to work out. Rising JP catches the JH. Just pressing button at the wrong time. Gold
that's
burst.
Always what I'm afraid of against Axel is that they're always gonna check me on one thing or another.
That's every character. It's not Axel specific. You can't be caught up in what your opponent can do. Because there's so much that your opponent can do. You need to think about what you can do. Because there's a lot that you can do. If you're too worried about what your opponent can do, you're sort of already conceding yourself to getting hit. And if you're already conceding yourself to getting hit, more often than not, you're gonna get hit. And that's just a bad position to be in. Let's rewind a little bit here. Counter hit. Gold burst. This is party time. You didn't. This is the I'm blocking Axel move I'm feeling good. I should feel comfortable blocking Axel move, especially when he has no tension. YRC is sort of it tells me that you are feeling scared. You are like plus 20 here, but you had 100% tension. I feel like you could definitely do more. You get a throw. Safe jump. Ooh. Made the wrong guess. Spacing. Unfortunate. Red light, green light. Punishes Rensen. And they called out your stagger string. The ending, not a lot to complain about. Small spacing issue. Might be able to do just a little bit more after that YRC. You did far slash. Far slash heavy slash. 2 has heavy slash. Yeah, go ahead.
Why YRC there, Andres?
YRC? Where? Can you show me again?
Back to the corner. They do safe jump setup. Right there.
That's just a bad scenario to be in. If they're like doing like 2K into 2D into whatever, then that's a situation I'm not comfortable with because they got the whole world to just do whatever to me.
Not really. You get hit by 2K. You block 2K. The options I look for are as I think of. Maybe not necessarily look for. It depends on what I'm feeling. The options I think of when I block a 2K from Axel are they do 2K 2D into a special, and if they do a special without tension like they have here, then I can punish them. If they do snail, it resets the situation. If they do a tick throw, you can tech the tick throw or backdash the tick throw. If they try to do a stagger string, you can just keep blocking or throw them out of it.
I think you could have FD'd the 2K and the 2D might have whiffed. I don't know. He looked kind of far. I might be wrong on that, but there's just definitely better options to use than YRC. There was no need to actually like panic in that situation. I understand that like you just got thrown, you're in the corner, and you're low on life, so like those factors obviously play in. But with 50% tension and the life that Axel has right now, you can kill him in one hit.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I mean, yeah, he has bursts, but that's something you have to. If they're gonna burst, they're gonna burst. You can't be too bent out of shape because they were happened to save it till this point. And also using YRC, it pushes Axel back, and Axel wants to be far away from you. Just another thing. Especially like this. If you had Axel in the corner, I think YRC would have been better. I would think it would have been like, okay, this is generally fine. But your back is to the corner, is pushing him away. It's the YRC is the I'm scared option. The YRC is I do not want to block, and I am not comfortable blocking. That just looked like you messed up a dash after a 2K. Unfortunate. General overall thoughts, overarching thoughts, ideas, and conclusions. You are focusing far too much on one thing and one way of approaching. You are scared of Axel on the ground despite Ram having a strong ground game herself. And you are scared of Axel touching your guard, even though his guard is not that scary to begin with. His block strings are not that scary to begin with. You sort of need to recalibrate and think to yourself, okay, Axel just did something on my block. If they do a special, I either punish them, or if they do if they do rainwater, it just resets to the same situation. Being comfortable trying to dash block and get them to the corner should be something that you should include in your repertoire. Because
trying to get them to block and get them into the corner.
It doesn't have to be trying to get them to block. It just has to be getting them to an uncomfortable situation. Because when they're in an uncomfortable situation, they're going to try and retreat. and when they've retreated, they've put themselves into the corner, or they've put themselves near enough to the corner that they're really antsy to get out. And when they're really antsy to get out, you intercept them with either checking them on the ground or like a 5p anti-air, or even an air throw anti-air, which would be so strong. Those are my general conclusions.
So I'm too focused on things. I'm scared of Axel touching my guard, and I need to get them to block or put them in an uncomfortable situation and get them into the corner.
Yeah, you need to. It's the simple ideas are, you're in a little bit of a tunnel vision, and the tunnel vision can manifest in a lot of different ways. The tunnel vision in this case, you focus on one piece of advice that someone else gave you. In this case, it didn't work out very well for you, and you kept doing it. And then secondly, you were already conceding to your opponent that they were going to hit you, and it made you scared. Like you mentioned, I'm trying to approach them, but when I approach them, they always check me. That's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, but you just have to sort of forget that. You have to live in the moment. You just got hit. Who cares? It's time to try and hit my opponent. It's time to get them close. And then, of course, the getting them uncomfortable is how I believe you can beat Axel in most cases.
Okay, I got it.
So
got it typed out.
So I guess the sort of battling ideas is you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and then you need to make your opponent uncomfortable. Just to put some buzzwords in that.
Okay, I got it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I got it all typed out here.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing improvement in your gameplay and in the Axel matchup.
Yeah, I'm real looking forward to it.
Yeah. Alrighty. I believe that's all we have on the docket for today, unless Alpaca, you have something you want to really go over?
No, just here for the ride.
If not, thanks for showing up, and good luck at Combo Breaker.